morning, everyone. Welcome to Rainmakers Roundup. I'm your host, Mark Iorio, and man, I have the pleasure today to be sitting with a friend that I've known for a long time, Steve Tolkach. How are you, buddy?
Good to be with you, Mark. Always, by the way, I'm glad to be with you today.
Every time I think of Steve, I think of a guy who's, listen, I don't want you to blush on camera, but great person, great integrity, loves his family, faithful guy, just
very, very nice of you.
Good person.
That would be a good legacy for me. I like that.
And smart, and you know, one of the finest commercial real estate executives in the area. So thanks.
Very nice. Thank you.
Thanks
Thanks for having me, Mark.
Welcome.
Appreciate it very much.
So tell us, man, how did you get started in the commercial real estate business?
Well, it's my first and only job, right? So I'm in my 32nd year right now. I'm right within it, about halfway through my 32nd year in the business.
And you started when you were 7, right. So you're 39 now, right?
Right, yes, right, I wish. So right out of college, I did an internship my junior summer of college for the same firm. I knew the gentleman who was my partner, you know, later in life in the business. But I started with him right out of college after doing a summer internship, and I sort of never looked back. So it wasn't something, I didn't study real estate, I didn't study finance. I was a liberal studies major, kind of had all different kinds of courses in college. Got out of college, started, you know, a week later, and that's it. Never looked back. So it's the only career.
So where do you derive the passion that you have for what you do? You love what you do. You're good at what you do.
Money. I'm just kidding. You know that's not true.
Yeah, I know
you know that's not true, and you ask it. It's a good question. Well, I think there's a couple of things. I don't know if this is where I get the passion for it, but the business itself, you're a pure entrepreneur. Right,
Yeah,
so you're
sure.
on commission only. I've been on commission only for my entire career.
Wow.
So I've been a commission, you know, in a sense, salesperson for my entire career. And so with that, you get the flexibility of designing your own business plan, implementing and executing your own business plan, and therefore you have flexibility. So what that's done in my life is I've had the opportunity also to be with my family, right? Because I don't have there's no more 9-to-5 jobs probably, but I don't have a 7:45 to 6 o'clock job, right? So I have a lot of flexible hours. It's not that I'm not thinking about the business a lot, because I am, and you know that being in business yourself, Mark. But I like the flexibility. I think the passion is really from my clients. I mean, I really enjoy, we've done business together.
Oh yeah.
I really enjoy my clients. I mean, you can't be best friends with all of them. I mean, but I have developed very strong relationships, and really friendly relationships that have transcended just the business end of it with a lot of clients. So I think that's what keeps me going, and that's where my passion really is in the business.
You know, I know when you started 32 years ago that there were companies that you started dealing with, Steve, that were smaller in size and scale, size and scope, and you've watched them, the entrepreneurs that started those businesses, transform their businesses and their lives over that 32-year period. And you know, I know you. I've known you for a long time, and I know that you get a charge, a real great feeling out of watching people become successful over the years. So talk about that for a minute, because I know that's a driving passion of yours too.
Sure. I think that's always fun, right? When you're watching a company and the clients and your friends now and the people you've established relationships grow over the years. That's always a fun time in the business, right? Because you're helping them grow. I'm only one facet of that growth, right? Their real estate piece of their world, leasing, purchasing, selling, that kind of thing. But it is fun to watch that happen. I will say that where I've really enjoyed working with clients, believe it or not, is on the, potentially sort of the downside of their business, right? It's cyclical. And what I mean by that is when these clients, who I've had for a long time, have an issue later on, right? They have an issue. They need to sublease space. They need to sell a property that they bought. They have some sort of trouble within their property portfolio. And I always think that's a really good time to kind of step up and get them out of what might be a little mess or a big mess in their real estate portfolio.
Yeah.
That piece I've really enjoyed over the years. I'd rather have them on this kind of upswing on the graph, for our whole lives. And that's been, they're the real fun times, and everybody's doing well and everybody's happy. But when there's a downturn in either the market or sort of the business cycle of that particular client, I find that's a really good time to step up and help.
Yeah, that's great. What do you think makes Newmark, Knight, Frank so different than, there's a lot of commercial real estate agencies and brokers out there, Steve.
Sure.
Why are you different?
Well, so we had a small firm. We started as a small firm, like you were just saying, watching companies grow and entrepreneurial companies becoming bigger and so forth. So we started as a small firm. It was just two of us when I got out of college.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Grew it to 6 or 7 people. It wasn't a huge firm, and then sold to Newmark. I would say this, that when we sold, and we sold half the company, then half the company several years later. So in the late sort of 2000s, 2007, 2008, and then early 2012, 2013 was the other half. We recognized for sure in the marketplace that the resources and the reputation and the sort of back office, so to speak, that the bigger firms had were what the corporations that we were dealing with wanted.
Okay.
So we did that to try to kind of meet the marketplace where it was and so forth. I think where Newmark has, and we sold to Newmark, of course. We had other alliances. We've known each other in our business careers when we were named several different things before we sold to Newmark.
Yeah.
What we recognized in Newmark is they were buying these smaller and mid-sized firms in certain markets across the country that weren't necessarily top-tier cities. They already had New York covered very, very well, right? They had LA, they had other major cities, Chicago, they were strong, but they were buying in other markets. And what that did for Newmark, right, is that it gave them the best-in-class people in each of these markets. Because while you need these resources in the back office, and we have a great marketing department, and we have great data really at our fingertips, it's still a location business. That's real estate, right? Whether you're selling houses or you're in the corporate end and doing 500,000 square foot leases with big companies, you're in a location business, so you need people on the ground that know, forget about every square foot, every square inch of what's going on, the major roads, everything in a certain market area. So that, I think, differentiates them from some of the other bigger firms, our competitors, that grew organically and just kept hiring people in these markets.
So you were able to attract some really large corporations, deals that are international in scope, organizations that are world known. I mean, they're fantastic organizations. But the reason you've been able to land those, besides your skill set, your local knowledge, your ability to connect with people, is that you had the Newmark brand behind you as well. So you have this global brand, which was able to match the requirements of a global brand.
That's right. That's right. It kind of checks both boxes, right? You kind of have this global brand and all the resources and everything that goes with that, but you're also grassroots in a certain market or sub-markets where you can handle all of that. Sure.
So you've been doing it for 32 years, and I know Newmark's got a great marketing department. You go to the website, you check it out. It's and you do some advertising as well. But how do you typically find new clients?
I tell you, it's going to sound so basic, but it really is. So yes, we have a website. Yes, we market properties through e-blasts and all sorts of different ways of marketing. You're better at that than I am, because that's your background. But the fact of the matter is, when you know a marketplace, let's call it, whatever that area is. It could be one town, it could be a county, it could be a few counties, it could be a state, whatever it is. You know what's going on in that area, so it is a lot of direct communication with either clients or potential clients, new clients, that you may not have done business with before, but you're really calling on them, right? It's a cold call mentality with an idea. It's not a big, I'm not a big shotgun cold call everybody. I'm not doing 10 or 15 or 30 cold calls a day, which I might have done earlier in my career, right? You have to kind of do that. You kind of have to establish yourself. I may be doing 1 to 2 a day, maybe only a few a week, but they're very targeted, and I'm going after a specific play or a specific idea for that company to play on.
So talk about those ideas for a second. What do you mean by that? You come to an organization and say, listen, I have an idea. What does that look like?
Sure. Right. It depends on the organization. Let me give you an example of something we just did. This was a purchase, actually. I represented a purchaser on a property. So up in Burlington County, the Ocean Spray facility was available. It was actually being marketed by a very renowned worldwide brokerage company that is one of our competitors, by the way. And I felt that they missed the mark on what the value might be. I think recognizing value, when you're entrenched in a market every day, I think you recognize value, right? You should, or you shouldn't be around anymore. You won't be around anymore by the market forces, right? So I recognized that the value was low, brought in a buyer, brought in a few together and put a partnership together, and we ended up doing a purchase of the building, 2 different ones right in Bordentown there. What happened was, without going into specific numbers, I remember them, but without doing specific numbers, is Ocean Spray was leaving, so these were vacant buildings, so we took advantage of understanding what the value might be in the vacant buildings. We were higher than the valuation that this world-renowned firm had on the property, higher. We actually paid Ocean Spray more than they thought it was worth at the time. We leased the first building to Buy Brands, the drink Buy Five, right? Leased the entire warehouse building, spun that out for almost twice what the entire property cost, The second piece of it's on the other side. It's an old manufacturing building. We just got approved, I think, 230 apartments there. So when that sells, the whole value creation is like 2.5x or something like that. So that's not happening every day, right?
It's not,
I mean, but that's one of those where it was more about recognizing value. That's not a direct sort of corporate client of mine. I had the buyers. I knew what to do and how to attract them in, and I knew the value. But that's an example of, you know, trying to
That's really cool. We're going to have to take a quick break, pay some invoices, and when we come back, I want to ask you a question about, you know, over the 32 years, you think about this during the break, what missteps have you made that you've learned from and won't repeat or help others, you know, down the road? We'll be right back after a message from our sponsors.
Choosing Medicare coverage can be a very confusing and complicated process. Help is just a phone call away, 856-226-4800. As a licensed insurance agent, I'll assist you in making an informed and confident decision on a Medicare plan that meets your needs, lifestyle, and budget. Call me today for a free, no obligation Medicare benefits consultation, 856-226-4800.
When did you see the sign?
When I needed to create a better visitor experience.
Improve our workflow.
Attract new customers. That's when Fast Signs recommended Fleet Graphics.
Yeah, now business is rolling in. Get started at fastsigns.com.
What do I want to be when I grow up? Maybe a musician? A veterinarian?